welcome to Soulistic. My name is Montoya. Thank you for being here. So as a child, I've always been a little bit of an outcast. I've been a little bit different, I guess you could say. At like 4 or 5 years old, I remember my mom tells me this story where, I don't know, we were like at home or going to the grocery store or something and doing something random, and I just stopped and I was like, Mom, what if we're all just dreaming and when we die we wake up? And she like stopped and was like, are you okay? Why is a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old thinking this? Like, where did that even come from? So growing up, I've always been a little bit different. I was a very deep child, and I think I spent much more time thinking and being inward and just kind of observing what was going on around me rather than being, like, I was never a loud, rambunctious child, and I've never really been a loud person. Like, I've never been the type of person who's like, all eyes on me, I need the spotlight, and here I am making this video, which is kind of funny. But being in the spotlight actually makes me really uncomfortable. I've always had a spiritual calling within me, I felt, but as a child I just didn't really have the language to put around it. But I always felt really connected to the earth. I always have been connected to the moon, like as a kid, as you can see. But as a kid, I remember, my mom would tuck me in and I would like act like I was going to bed, and then as soon as she would leave the room, I would like sit up and like look out my window and try to find the moon, and if I could see it from my window, I would just like stare at it. And I just felt so like mesmerized by the moon. It felt so magical to me. And I always was really connected to animals and was just a very creative, imaginative child, as so many of us are, but I was constantly creating art and writing stories and playing make-believe and, the things that kids do. Thankfully, my mom is a very spiritual person, so, she raised me and my 2 brothers. My parents are divorced, and so we'd see my dad like every other weekend, but my mom was really the one who was raising us, and so growing up in that environment, I felt very open and free to just express myself, and she really encouraged me to dive into my spirituality and grow that part of myself and develop that side of myself rather than, push it down and act like it wasn't there. And I did grow up going to church a little bit, but it was more of like a social family thing that we would do with my grandparents rather than like read the Bible and like do all this stuff. Not that there's anything wrong with organized religion, but to me it just never resonated. I never understood why God was referred to as a he. Like, that number one was like, why? What? Huh? How? What? I didn't understand how, if you sinned, all you had to do was repent for your sins and you'd be forgiven. Like, I grew up in being a very observant child. I saw a lot of people take the Bible very literally, and I saw a lot of hatred come out of it. I remember when I moved to Florida, we tried going to church, and that was a whole experience, and there was so much fear and so much hatred in that environment. And this is not to say that all churches are like this or anything whatsoever, but from my experience, it just really turned me off, and it felt very constricting rather than expansive. And I was like, you know what, this just isn't for me. I don't think there isn't one right way. There isn't one thing to believe. And to me, I think what's true for you is true for you. If something resonates for you, then that's it, that's all you need. And it's not to say it's going to resonate with the person next to you, but it doesn't need to. So I had an interesting upbringing of, being this spiritual person, but still being open to religion and going to church and seeing what that whole process was like and that experience. And I feel like I really had this space to really draw my own conclusions. Like, that's something I will always be so grateful to my family for. I wasn't raised in a family where there was one way of thinking being pushed on me, or one way to do things, and you had to do it this way or else you were wrong. I was very, very encouraged to have an open mind and experience what's out there, but to ask questions, and if something didn't make sense, to ask why, and to draw my own conclusions that way. Now, being 24 years old, I'm very much independent. I'm very, I like to question things. I don't take things for face value. When someone tells me something, I don't just say, oh, okay, yeah. No. we're gonna dive deeper into this. And you know, I think sometimes it could come off as being a little bit rebellious and going against society and the status quo, but honestly, I am totally fine with that because society does not know what's best for me or what's best for you, and honestly, society, we've done a lot of things wrong as a society. Like, we need to get our priorities in check. But that's a whole other video. So anyways, getting back to my story, I grew up in New England, and then I moved down to Florida when I was a junior in high school, and I actually ended up staying in Florida all throughout college, and I was there up until about a year and a half ago. So end of middle school, beginning of high school, I sort of went through the phase that I think we all go through of like wanting to be cool and just wanting to be like everyone else and worrying about what everyone thinks and wanting everyone to like you. So I think I sort of pushed my spiritual side away and kind of like, you know, put that stuff in the closet back there. Like, didn't really need to bring that up, didn't really need to keep pursuing that. And I just wanted to be like all the other girls in my grade. However, me being me, that only lasted for like maybe a year. And then I realized that, you know, the popular girls are really actually they're not that great of people. They were actually pretty mean. And I just saw all of the like backstabbing and gossiping. And again, like I said, I've always been a very observant person. So I feel like a lot of people underestimate quieter people because they think, oh, they're quiet, they're not saying much, they probably just don't really know what's going on, and like, I don't need to worry about them. Nah, boo. We're the ones you need to worry about the most. I've always been quiet, not because I'm shy, but because I just prefer, like, unless I have something that I feel like is very important and impactful to say, I'm not going to say anything. Like, I don't talk just to hear myself talk, and I've always been that way naturally. So, you know, I might not be saying things, but I'm always observing, and I always know what's going on. And so I saw this group of girls that I was friends with, the popular girls, and I just saw them being mean to each other and all of the backstabbing and the drama, and I was like, is this really what I want to be doing with my life? Are these really the people I want to be around? And the answer was no. And I came to that conclusion in 9th grade, so pretty quickly into high school. And I kind of just like took myself out of that friend group. And I started dating someone who was very much not popular. And so that was this whole thing. Everyone was like, I can't believe you're dating him. Oh my God. And I was like, who cares, you know? But that kind of put me in this loner outcast place. You know, like I didn't have this group of friends anymore. I wasn't a popular girl anymore. And I was fine with that. But it meant like not having a dedicated table to eat lunch at, and not really having like a big group of friends around me. So, you know, I found myself like sometimes I would just go to the library and have lunch in there because I didn't feel like going to the cafeteria and being like, well, shit, where am I gonna sit? Like, you know? So high school was an interesting time. Definitely not something I'd want to go back to or relive, as I think most of us feel. It was definitely not my favorite time in my life, but I know that I learned so much, and I am proud to look back and think, man, I chose to be the bigger person in a lot of situations, and I just kind of chose to do my own thing and to do what would make me happy, and not go along with what all the cool kids were doing just because that's what people thought was cool. So then that brings me to college, and college was also an interesting time. You know, I mean, it was fun, but I do still feel like I was out of touch with my spiritual side. It wasn't until after college when I remember graduating from college, and for anyone who has gone to college, you can probably relate to this, but there's like this big thing that you think is going to happen as soon as you graduate. Like, there's so much buildup. It's like you do all of this work, you spend all this money, you dedicate all this time to study something, and you have like your last finals week, you do all the things you need to do to graduate, and then you have graduation, and it's this like big celebration, and then you wake up the next day, and you expect the world to be different. You expect you to be different. And I woke up the next day after graduation and nothing had changed. And I was so disappointed. I was like, what just happened? I was like, I just invested all this money and all of this time, and now I have a piece of paper, and my life is exactly the same. What? Excuse me? Sorry? Huh? And I feel like this is something that nobody talks about. It's like this post-graduation depression almost. Like, there's all of these expectations being built up that you're gonna like create this amazing future, and then you graduate and you're just kind of like thrust out there, and you're like, well, what am I supposed to do now? I graduated, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I got hired on for a full-time marketing position because I had been their intern throughout college. So when I graduated, they hired me on, and so I was doing that. So I was like, okay, well, I have a job. But like nothing else in my life was different. I quickly realized working that job that, you know, I just found myself, I was honestly miserable every single day. Like at first it was fun because I was like, you know, making my own money. I feel like an adult, but pretty quickly it all caught up to me, and I was like, there has to be more than this. This can't be all there is to life. I can't just work and then maybe like get a new job at some point and like get promotions, and then, you know, maybe meet someone and like have a family and then retire and then die. I was like, this cannot be it. There has to be more to life than what I'm seeing around me and what I'm experiencing right now. And that inner desire to discover more, which I think has been with me my entire life, but really like a spark was just lit within me after I graduated. That is what has opened up my entire world, and that is why we are here right now. That is why I created this platform. So here I am working this marketing job, feeling pretty miserable, just feeling purposeless. You know, I wanted so badly to understand my purpose. And I knew that I wasn't living up to my full potential, but I didn't know what that looked like. I didn't know what my potential even was. And I didn't even know what I truly wanted. I was a full-time student. I worked all throughout high school and all throughout college, and I never really had that time to just stop and think, what do I want? Where am I going? What am I working towards? Is what I'm working towards even actually what I want? How many of us work and work and work and work and work and put in the time and the money and the effort and the energy, and we realize we're working towards something we don't even want? That was me. So I'm miserable. I'm realizing this isn't what I want, but I don't know what I want, so I don't know what to do. And I started to feel really stuck. And then I had this idea. And my idea was, I'm gonna quit my job. I'm gonna buy a one-way ticket to Bali. And I'm gonna go do a yoga teacher training halfway around the world by myself. Who wouldn't do that? So that's what I did. I quit my job. I bought a one-way ticket to Bali. I signed up for a yoga teacher training that was a month long. And I was kind of just like, I'm gonna go do this, and whatever happens, happens. I don't know when I'm coming home, and I guess we'll just see. So this was absolutely terrifying for me, but at the same time, it was so exciting. And this is the experience that truly taught me scary and exciting things are things you should never miss out on. If something feels scary and exciting, you have to do it. And that is something I will always live by after this experience, because going to Bali, those 2 months have been absolutely life-changing, and it's one of the best things I've ever done. So that really solidified in me that philosophy that scary and exciting is the sweet spot. If something's scary and exciting, go for it. So I went to Bali. I ended up staying there for 2 months and just met the most amazing people. And it was finally that exhale where I could just pause and ignore the rest of the world and go within and ask myself, you know, what do I care about? What is important to me? That experience alone was so transformative, and it shifted my life. I shifted as a person while I was there, and I came back to the States with a different perspective, because in Bali I saw the way people lived, and it was intentional, and it was slower, and it was more joyful. And so when I came back to the States, I saw how we're so fast-paced, and we're so go, 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 and we're so do and take action and produce. And if you're not being productive, you're wasting time. And I also saw how unhappy and miserable we are. And I was like, what is happening? Why are we living like this? There is another way. There are people in the world who are not living like us, and they are so much happier. And after seeing that firsthand, I came back here and I was like, there has to be a way to live like the Balinese are, but still operate in our society and still have beautiful homes and make lots of money and have the friends we want to have and be able to buy the things we want to buy and have the lifestyles we want to have, but be happy at the same time. And I was like, there has to be a way. So that is what I feel like I'm really dedicating my life to, is finding out how to create that for myself, and also how to help other people create that for themselves, because it is possible. When I came back from Bali, I was living in Florida at the time, and I came back to no job, no money. I was living at my dad's house when I came back because I had nowhere else to live and I couldn't afford my own apartment. And I quickly fell into a bit of a depression for a few months because I just felt so stuck. And I saw how everyone was living and everyone was so stressed out. And it was such a contrast going from Bali, this amazing Zen, peaceful place where people are mindful and life is so much more intentional, and coming back here, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do with myself. I didn't know how to operate in this society because it felt so forced. It was all about your value being how much you could produce, and your worth was based in like what you could do. And it just felt all wrong to me. Like, it didn't resonate. Thankfully, making that trip to Bali and experiencing all of that and traveling to a new country alone, it really built up my confidence. So I decided I was going to pack up my car and move out to San Diego. And keep in mind, I didn't have a job, I didn't know where I was going to live, and I had no plan. If you want to talk about synchronicity, I met a beautiful, amazing friend in Bali who just so happened to live in San Diego. And I was talking to her about how I was feeling, and she was like, just come out here. You can stay with me until you like figure out work and find a place to live. And yeah, just come stay here and you'll figure it out as you go. And I was like, not a bad idea. I just knew San Diego felt right, and I knew I had to get out of Florida. I was like, I'm over this place. The energy here is so not aligned with me, and San Diego was just calling to me. I knew it was the next right step. And I remember the day that I packed up my car and left Florida, I felt, it's the same feeling that I had when I was on the plane flying to Bali after I had just quit my job. And I would literally questioned myself and said, are you crazy? Like, am I actually insane? What am I doing? And I felt so afraid, but something was pulling me to do this, and I couldn't ignore it. But I share this with you because I want you to understand that just because you're meant to do something, it doesn't mean it won't feel absolutely terrifying. I road tripped out to California, and it was honestly like one of the most fun things I've ever done. I have such amazing memories from that experience, and yes, I was scared, I was terrified, I had no idea what I was going to do when I showed up in San Diego, but God, it was so fun, and it was so freeing to just be like, fuck it, like, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm just doing it. And it is so beautiful how when you follow your intuition and really listen to your heart, things will work out. So I showed up in San Diego at my friend's house. I'm not a very anxious person, but when I woke up my first day in San Diego, I thought I was having an anxiety attack. Like, I felt so anxious. I had like this weird butterfly feeling in my stomach. I didn't really want to eat. And I just kept thinking to myself, oh my God, what did I do? What did I do? What did I do? Like, oh my God, how is this going to happen? Like, how am I going to make money? How am I going to survive and live? People ask me why I trust my intuition so much and why I'm such a big believer in manifesting your reality and in truly believing that when you follow your heart, things will work out, and trusting the universe. Like, I fully have so much trust in the universe, and this is why. Because within 1 week of moving to San Diego, keep in mind, had no job, didn't know what I was going to do, had no idea how I was going to find an apartment or afford one or anything. And I only knew this one friend. Within 1 week, I was making more money than I had ever made in my entire life. Okay, like what? I found my dream apartment in downtown San Diego, which I didn't think I'd be able to afford to live downtown for like, I don't know, at least a few years. And everything just fell into place. Like, life was so magical. And I just remember like waking up and being like, do I have to pinch myself? Like, how did everything just fall into place? But it really does go to show you, when you follow your heart and listen and do what feels right, you will be supported. And now here I am living in San Diego, the most beautiful place. I absolutely love it here. I don't see myself leaving for a long time. And really just every single day committing to myself to really create the life that I want to live, and being intentional about it, and constantly questioning what I'm being told by society and by other people, and even myself with my own limiting beliefs, just constantly questioning and trying to find better ways, and trying to find ways that feel more aligned and more joyful. So that is a little bit about me and my background, and ultimately how I got here, and I hope it gives you some insight into my mindset and my values and what I care about, and really like why I created this platform and why I want to share my experiences with you, because I'm so passionate about helping other people create the life that they dream of, but helping them realize that it's possible. It doesn't have to stay a dream. You can make that your reality, and helping people realize they actually have the power to do that. It's not something you just have to wait for it to happen, or you have to get lucky, or you have to have tons of money. You have the power right now within you to create the reality that you want. That is it. Thank you so much for learning more about me, and if you want to check out my offerings, find something that feels right for you. I have so much free content available to you, so go and check it out. Subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on Instagram. Please connect with me too, like send me a DM, comment on a video, send me an email. I love connecting with you guys and hearing your stories as well. Thank you so much for stopping by the Soulistic platform, and I cannot wait to talk to you soon. Mwah!